Alrighty. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Less Known Classics. This is episode number. There you go. 2308 and double number 2202. Now, like some of the ones I've done, basically this one I'm discussing some little issues of Mar Masterworks from Mar Masterworks Volume 8. I'm discussing issues 39 to 46, and I'm discussing the 6 Epic Collection for Iron Man Battle Royale, which has the first appearance, I'll get to that, and a Captain America trade. Okay, now in the case of the 4 issues published in here, which by the way, most issues, basically for 39 to 46, 39 to 44 is by Jerry Conway, and 45 46 is by Gary Frederick. The artwork for these issues are mostly done by Herb Temple, does 39, and 44-6 is George DaCosta. Those issues in particular cover the period of July to May of 1972. So, basically, in the case 39, you get yourself Tony Stark deal with some underwater society with this one. That's mostly what it is. It's not the Atlanteans, it's not something else. And he deals with them over the course of like 2 issues. Up 39 and 40. And 41, he fights a guy called the Slasher. You think he's a serial killer? No, it's a random thug appears in this issue. I don't think he appears again after this. The Slasher, well, he only makes 2 appearances, basically in 41 and 107. Yeah, he returns for like 1 other issue, but he's here for this 1 issue and he's been here for quite a while. We also show reference of a robot named MK9, who's here basically for these 2 issues. And issue 40, he's been here to issue 45. He's like the main villain of these issues. Yep. He's like behind everything related to basically the issues of the events of these issues. Also, Tony's girlfriend, Melanie Rogers. Yeah, she's basically Tony Stark's girlfriend in these issues, and basically, well, she's not here much longer. No, because she becomes somewhat recurring, and then she comes back briefly, and then she disappears for quite a while. Yep. But it's a guy called Soul Father who appears for 4 comic books. Appears from 42, 43, Special Captain America, and then 107 of Iron Man. Yep. Yeah, and by 44 they have this framing thing, and of course basically there's a backup story in here which is not published in this Mara Masterworks. It's basically a backdoor pilot to Hank Pym's story Mara feature. Yep. Also by a guy called the Night Phantom. Yes, the Night Phantom. Who gets killed off in issue 45? Just a robot. Yep. Also a guy called Simon Gilbert who basically was yeah. He's also the father of the character Firebrand. Yep. Yeah, Roxanne came with issue 59, which I'll get to her. Yep. But the issues themselves are actually pretty good and give the book roughly a 9 out of 10. Next up, we're going to discuss Battle Royale, where it's basically Mike Frederick on the writing with George DaCosta. Basically, his main artist. You have issues 44 to 67. Oh, by the way, 46, in case you're curious about that one. It's basically Iron Man deal with a guy called a guardsman who gets killed off in this issue. He's around very brief period of time. Then Kevin O'Brien. Yeah, he actually dies in this issue in 46 before he comes back a little bit later, somehow. Of course, he's fighting against Simon Gilbert. Yep. So in the case of, Mike Frederick's the main writer here with Roy Thomas, Jim Starlin, who does a few issues in here, Bill Everett and Steve Gerber, with George DeCosta on the artwork, with Barry Windsor-Smith, Jim Starlin does co-writing too, P.K. Russell, and John Romita Sr. 47, The Birth of Power. I was like, why must it be an Iron Man? It's more to do with Simon Gilbert, so basically something to do with Destro. Of course, Simon Gilbert gets killed off with the very next issue. Yep, so kind of do a little bit of Iron Man's backstory in this one. Yeah, then Simon Gilbert was killed by Firebrand. Actually dies, well, yeah, Firebrand pops up again in this issue. And of course, then we have Iron versus Super Daptoid, where it's Mike Frederick. The Super Daptoid, who's here for 2 issues. Well, actually, he's here, I think, for 2 issues. Yeah, he's here just for 1 issue, and then, well, yeah, fights Super Daptoid in this issue because, of course, he would do that because he's Super Daptoid, Marvel's version of Mazo. Fights him here, and then in the very next issue, he fights Princess Python. And sadly, this comic here is also the last appearance of our Snake Precious. Yeah, so go from fighting basically a robot to fighting a snake. Oh yeah, it's also funny apparently Jarvis does not know Tony Stark is Iron Man, which is weird. I would have thought he would know, but no, he doesn't know. So you have the Precious taken care of, then we have this Cyborg Sinister. Yeah, for issue number 51. Which, if you're curious about this, it's just basically Super Daptoid again. Yeah, that's basically all it is. Just Super Daptoid fighting him again. And then we have basically a guy called Riga, who dies in the next issue, called George Frederick. What is the name of the writer? And Dion, who was like a very minor character who appeared in this 1 issue. And then, of course, 53. First one is a guy called Black Llama. And he has occasionally appeared over the years. Like S53 does pop up again to issue 70. Where he is a recurring villain until issue 81, which I'll discuss him later. Yep, and then right afterwards begin a series of a few issues written by a different writer. Well, we have in issue 54, Iron Man takes on the Submariner. Yes, 55. Oh boy, 55. Oh, this is a class. I guess I should basically show off basically who appears in this issue because it is shocking with this one. Because even though I'm watching 55, but to tell you right now, 55 is the first of about 2 or 3 issues in a row where Jim Starlin does the writing here for this book. Yep. Actually, he takes over basically as the artwork, co-artwork for this issue number 54. He's here for a few issues and he leaves. Let's see. Where's the page here? Okay, so if you're any kind of Marvel MCU fans, you gotta check out this issue. You get called Two Colors Blood Brothers. And you're thinking, who's that green guy in the background? That is Drax the Destroyer. This is his debut appearance. And here he is, Drax, in the first page. He's here because he's here to kill somebody. You have Iron Man and the Blood Brothers, which is their debut as well. But then, of course, basically, he's called away to space. All deal with the Blood Brothers. And then we have the very first appearance of iconic MCU villain and one of the longest running Marvel cosmic villains to date, Thanos. in his first ever appearance. This issue is also the first appearance of Mentor, Thanos' father, but his brother does not appear in this issue. I don't think he does. Only flashback. He makes a proper appearance in issue 27 of Captain Marvel, which I'll get to that later on. Yep. And after he goes off, and then basically Jim Starlin is gone. And we have actually gone for the writing dude. You have Steve Gerber. Jim Starlin's on the artwork. You have Steve Gerber take over for a couple issues. Yes. And what does he do for these what does he do for a couple issues? Well, fights a guy called Rasputin. Yes. A one-shot character. And Fangor, who appears for one issue. Yeah, fight a couple one-shot villains. And then we have in issue 57, the return of the Mandarin. Yes, the Mandarin is back, who's now known as Gene Khan. Yeah, which actually that is, believe it or not, well, I think it was supposed to be, I think it was just an alias he assumed, but basically, yeah. Fights the Mandarin again in issue 57, because of course fights the Mandarin. In this issue is, once again, we have Steve Gerber on the writing here. And after fighting the Mandarin in issue 57, then he has to apparently team up with the Mandarin and Unicorn for the very next issue. Also, Pepper Potts is here as well. Her husband, Happy Hogan. Which, he does return to these issues. Yep, after his somewhat of a long absence. He'd been absent since issue 37. It came back in issue 59. Where he caught basically, well, Pepper, of course, basically has, she's basically got red hair, but she's got also got a mixture of something else in her hair, too. Pepper is still acting as Tony Stark's secretary in these issues for a while until she quits. We have Fire Problem 59. Yeah, and by the way, it's also in not long after Happy returns, he finds out that Tony is in fact. Actually, I think Happy reveals to Pepper that Tony's Iron Man. And in issue 60, he fights the Mass Marauder of the Maga. Yep, fights him here. Of course, the same pop in another book. Yeah, and they have a nightcap with Tony Stark. Yeah. Yeah, and then basically continue fighting him for another issue. The Mass Marauder. In issue number 60. Yes, the Mass Marauder, who is the original one. Yes. Who, part of this two-parter, had previously appeared in Iron Man number 8. Yes, Iron Man number 8. And then he appears next in issues, 2 issues of Wear It by Night, and he appears as, well, we're actually going to get to another appearance later on, but I've discussed a lot of appearances so far, so I believe discusses Wear It by Night issues, but I think the only book left to go to talk about is probably another book appears in, but yeah, he only appears for these 2 issues of Iron Man, and then you think is he back Daredevil the very next issue? No, it pops up Wear It by Night for reasons. Yeah, then he fights Whiplash in issue 62. Yes, fighting Whiplash. Well, the film Whiplash, anyways. Yes. First presents character Victoria Snow, who used to date Whiplash. She is here for 2 appearances in this comic book series. Issue 62 of the book and returning issue 7 of volume 3. Yep. And then we have, get this, issue 63 of this very book. And this actually was referenced in issue of Avengers, where you have Dr. Spectrum of the Squadron Sinister fight Iron Man. Yeah. This actually is the original version of the character. He is sadly no longer alive. He got killed in issue of Marvel 2-in-1. Yep. And he fights here for about a couple issues. Actually, 3 issues. Yep, and in issue 66 he fights Iron Man. Still fighting on Spectrum. Then he takes on the Freak, who is actually not... well, here's the thing about this guy. This guy is Edward March. He's kind of in the way... He was kind of like a brief replacement for... both for Happy, and then, of course, he got later replaced by, of course... he basically appeared initially for a few issues, and they returned for 63. He's here at the 67, and after 69, he doesn't return again to issue 105. Yeah, I kind of think it was like another confidant of Tony's, who becomes the Freak. Just like how Happy Hogan did back there in Tales of Suspense comic. And I think that's it. I think in the case of the Iron Man issue where Thor gets it, I think it's the first time Thor appeared in an Iron Man comic book. And by the end of the issue, basically, of... I think it's 69, I'm mistaken. 67. He's going to take on Sunfire for the next issue. But this book is awesome. Love it. I give this book here a 10 out of 10. It is that damn good. Second here. Next up we have is... come on, seriously. Alright, so next up we have is Captain America Epic Collection Volume 15. The Bloodstone Hunt. Yep, this book collects... This covers period of March 1989 to June 1990. Yep, covers issues of Captain America 551 to 571. Of course, it's writing here by Mark Greenwald and Karen Joyer, who does also the artwork too, with Rick Buckler, Al Milgram, Mark Bright, Rob Lem, and Mark Bagley. The first issue is 351. That's more like an epilogue issue to the Captain Historic, where we have supposedly John Walker handing the shield back over to Steve, and then he gets assassinated. Yes, and this is actually something Battlestar investigates. Of course, doing Nick Fury in this issue here too. And then we have where a whole team gets killed off in Captain America 352. Yeah, it's the Supreme Soviets. Yeah. They're not around for a long period of time. No, they're just here for this issue and the following issue, and they'll appear again to Super Soldier number 1 and 2 issues of Widowmaker. Yeah. They apparently disbanded in issue 319 of Avengers. Oh. Excuse me. The Soviet super soldiers, they supposedly got killed off in this issue, but not really. Yeah, and of course they try to frame the Avengers for their death, but after taking on this issue here, and then in issue 354, here's the thing. John Walker, who've been Captain America for about 2 years. Like, after that two-part storyline with, well, the Soviet super soldiers. And then we have U.S. agents show up. Yes, this is basically John Walker as U.S. agent. Yeah, so the whole thing with this was that it's revealed a little bit later that this is organized by a subordinate of Valerie Cooper, which of course battles the visits her. Basically, she's the only one who can actually get a good understanding about this. Basically, the whole assassination was a cover-up. They get undercover, assuming a new identity, and basically wearing Steve Rogers, the captain uniform. That's simply what U.S. Agent's costume is. It's the captain uniform. And he's still a jerk, and he's running for a handful of issues, and then he pops up West Coast Avengers. It's like Mark Greenwald basically made U.S. Agent so he can appear in West Coast Avengers. That's mostly put exactly what it is. Yeah, and the fact Battlestar finds out he's alive, and of course meets up later. Yeah, and they have in this issue in 355 where Falcon meets Battlestar. Interesting. Seriously. Yeah, so basically, that's when he finds out about the whole truth, and of course we also have Cersei pop up with this. Yes, Cersei tries to do Steve, but nope, doesn't work. Yep. Yeah, then basically we have 356. Yeah, we have appearance about the Sisters of Sin, who, yeah, basically takes them on this issue here. Level one named Mother Knight, who is sadly no longer around. Yeah, so it's also one named Jennifer. Yeah, so take us in, of course, that's a brief two-part that leads into a 6-part story arc from 357 and wraps up with issue, I think it's like 362? Yes. The Bloodstone story arc. Okay, what exactly the story arc is, basically, also in this story arc too, I think like right afterwards, that Dimeback starts a relationship with Cap right after the story wraps up. Bloodstone, he got killed, he died in Rampaging Hulk number 9, where he just died because he finally avenged the death of his tribe. So his Bloodstone, this gem that he had, is up for grabs. And Zemo is after it. I think Red Skull's after it too. Yeah, and also Patrick the Leaper is after it too, as well. Yeah, so it's a very interesting story arc. And it's only 6 issues. Yeah. It's thanks to Stork at the debut of Crossbones. Yep. This Stork brought about this character. Crossbones, who does not know who Brock Rumlow even is. And this Stork practically brought about his debut appearance. Yeah. So Hunting for this Bloodstone brought about the debut of basically a no-recurring character who's still on this very day. Also appearance here by the Living Mummy. Yes. The Living Mummy. Makes guest appearance issue 361. Yep. Yeah, then reveal his real name in issue Basic Crossbones. And basically they wrap this up with 362. Yeah. And then we have where there's this guy called Bound who appears as a female character as a backup feature in this book. Yeah, she basically by 364, that's when she starts appearing in the book. Yep. And do more Crossbones for the next couple issues. Red Skull plans his return. And then basically for 265 and 366 basically deals with the Axis Avenger stuff, including finding people like the Controller and Magneto. Yes, which wraps up with 368. Actually, it's not a robot. It's basically a robot. It's most Machine Smith. And then apparently you have Cap hang out with the Celine of the Hellfire Club in issue 369. No, seriously, he does. I think that's when he starts. That's when when they started to date with her. Date with Diamondback. 370 is basically a basically kind of a haunted house issue. Yes. Yeah, where they go to the Skull House. Yeah, this was actually the first time they appeared in the book. Part of this issue, last time appeared was back in 326, supposedly with death of the Red Skull. So he basically was investigating it. Yep, and then 371 basically is, well, Dimeback and Steve's date. And of course, we actually have an appearance by a guy called Gemlock, Pound Cakes, who's a female wrestler, who is still around. Yeah, after this issue here, she, appeared for 2 issues Captain America, issue Thunderbolts, issue U.S. Agent, more Thunderbolt stuff, some issues of Amazing Experiment. Her most recent appearance actually was in Unstoppable Wasp. Yep. And Chicago Jackhammer. Yeah, he was a Daredevil villain. But this is another really good trade. I'm going to give this book roughly a 10 out of 10. Okay, so that's the particular review. I'm going to get some gas and come right back and basically work on my manga reviews and work on Eden Zero. And then basically, depends on if I'll probably go ahead and work on Eden Zero and basically manga courses like a couple comic corners, a couple more I have to do, and I'll hopefully get a chance to do more Doctor Who. Okay, next video.